If you have seen my video on the Cleanser, the experimental tactical missile launcher for the Illumnate, you would know that I've had an issue with its turrets, and I have since fixed that issue. The way I have gone about fixing this issue is I would manually force the turret to fire at a target set in front of the turret. This causes it to refresh its active target. And because I am setting the target of the turret itself, it's not changing any functions of the original unit. So say the ACU, how has anti-air, tactical missiles, and a main weapon. I could set the target of the main weapon, which won't affect how the ACU moves or how any of the other turrets perform either. I want to make a quick video on this topic, because it is one that I have struggled with for a long time. However, I have found a workaround. So the way I solve this issue, I'm forcing the turret to target something directly in front of it. It's not targeting anything, it's just placing a dummy target so it fires. Because out of all of the methods I found, I could not find one that would properly reset its target. Excuse my sudden interruption, but this is me from the future. I don't like how I explained this when I first recorded this part of the video, so I'm going to explain it again. I've already said what I'm doing. I'm forcing the turret to target something so that it refreshes its target. In order to determine if I need to refresh its target, I'm using two vectors. I'm getting a vector from the turret to its default aim position using a bone that I have created in its model. This is one vector. A second vector is from the turret to its current target. What I then do is I get the angle between these two vectors. I get the yaw range of the turret, and then I round up the angle. Because turret yaw, it doesn't have decimals, it's only integer. Here's where I'm testing if the angle is within the range. I'm subtracting 1 from the range, which makes it less lenient. I've had issues where the turret would not be able to fire at its target because it's out of its yaw range. However, the angle wouldn't detect that it's out of range. So I've had to subtract from the range, so it would know that it is in fact out of range. Then for this part of the code, I know that the turret needs to have a different target set. So I get a vector that's aiming in front of the turret. I'm using the same vector above, I'm just normalizing it. Then I get the direction of this vector, and add from the turret position. And I've had some issues where my turret wouldn't fire for long enough, so I created a repeating thread that would constantly tell it to fire at this position. That way I know it has fully reset. This might be specific to my scenario, but my turret prioritizes structure units. This becomes a problem when there are no structure units for it to fire at, only mobile units. I have found that my turret will aim at a structure unit outside of its range, rather than fire at a mobile unit inside its range. So at some point I may need to create code for it to get a custom mobile unit target, but I haven't done that yet. So here is the model in Blender. These bones here are the turret bones. The way I have my turret work is these two bones are the aim bones, and this is the actual muzzle bone. I am now aligned to the default aim of my turret, and there is a bone in this direction. This is my default aim bone. I use this bone to get a vector between these two bones. This vector allows me to extend in this direction and get the default aim, so I can compare it to where the turret is actually aimed. This bone never moves, it is always in the same spot. So if my turret were to aim, it would rotate. However, this bone stays the same. So say this was the rotation of my turret. It's extending in this direction, but my bone is in this direction. So I can get a vector of the default aim, and get a vector from this bone to its target, and get the angle in between. And if that angle is above a certain number, I will know that it needs a new target.